going to be an overview of the troubleshooting process for, I guess, this issue regarding license scanning results not showing up in the merge request widget for a particular project owner. Turns out the problem has to deal with permissions and access to the data that's needed from the merge request widget, because the merge request widget populates data sometimes from data that's generated from the CI jobs. So the first thing I kind of do is give a quick glance at the issue summary. Mo opened this issue 2 days ago and did a really good job by providing steps to reproduce the issue, what the current bug or behavior is, and what the expected behavior is. So after glancing that, I usually then take a quick look at the additional discussion to see if there's any other relevant data. Just because sometimes the discussions don't make their way back to the issue description. So we see here that Mo added some additional screenshots. This is also assigned two labels, P1 and S2. So P1 dictates the priority in terms of how urgent it is to fix, and then the severity relates to how bad it's broken, I believe. So in this case, it's the highest priority because it's SLA for bugs and severity issues. It needs to be fixed as soon as possible. In terms of how bad it's broken, the feature just doesn't work, and the workaround is too complex and unacceptable, which after my analysis I agree with. But let's kind of recap real quickly what the actual issue is. So you have a project owned by user 1. User 2 forks that project, has their own fork of the project, makes some changes, and then puts a merge request from their fork up to a branch, in this case probably master of the originating project. And the user 2, which is the user with the fork, can now see the merge request widget load correctly in context from the parent project. But I guess the code owner of the original project can't see any of that. So the first thing that comes to mind is that license scanning in the merge request widget seems to me to be working under normal conditions when you put a merge request against a project that you belong to. What's special about this case is that we're doing it across two different repos, the fork and the upstream project. So that was kind of my main area of focus. And I know that because if you look at the steps to reproduce, it mentions making a fork, putting up a merge request against the upstream project, and Mo even provided a link to his to a relevant merge request where he discovered the issue. So I believe it's this one, and this is against a different repo, and you could see it's not loading for me either, and this is in production, and that was kind of the first thing I wanted to check out. So the first thing we did essentially was go through the reproduction steps, so we'll do that now. So we have two accounts logged in. One for this repo, this is my local dev environment, is Jabberfest, which owns and created this auto remediation repo. And we have this Colombian Pride user, which is a member of that project. That shouldn't matter, but at least we have access to fork that repo. So first thing we'll do is fork that repo. Where is that fork? Okay, this is showing up because I deleted this fork, and now I assume I restored it. Let me double check. Okay, yeah, I deleted it, but I guess just for the purposes of the demo. Um, but let me, I guess, restore it. So imagine if you were simulating this, like we would have just uh, forked the repo, and we would have ended up with the the new project here. So let's just assume that is what happened. Um, so now we have this repo, and you can see, I guess, from my prior test, I had created this new commit, and all I did was add the license scanning job to it. And this is again on our fork of the project. So now I want to create a merge request up against the upstream project. So new merge request. So we're going from our fork of master into the upstream project, and you see Colombian Pride / Yarn Remediation is our fork. Auto Remediation Group is the upstream project. So now we will create the merge request. Now the key thing here to realize is that this merge request is going to go up and show up against the upstream project, not from our fork, because that's where it's going to. So I'm just going to create this. So we're submitting a merge request up to the upstream project. So the merge request will always show up in the target repo. And you see here, it's very subtle with the project. Now where the page has changed, we're up actually now from our fork, now navigating to our upstream project. And here you see the merge request widget loaded. This all rendered just fine. And now if you navigate to the code owner, so a user who owns the original project, and go to merge request, we'll see the merge request here. But we'll also notice that the merge request widget does not load. And I'll go into detail why that is. So you see here it's not loading. And we do get console errors, right? Which might make you think, okay, it's a front-end issue, but if we're actually thinking about permissions issues, the front-end shouldn't matter, because the front-end was working in context of running, putting up an MR against a project you own yourself. So with that said, now we navigate back to the fork. One thing to keep in mind is that, as I mentioned earlier, the data from the merge request widget consumes data from the job the CI jobs that run. Those CI jobs are scoped to the project, and if you notice, pipeline number 99 belongs to our fork. This is not accessible from the parent or the upstream project. So to test that theory, what I did was add the upstream a user from the upstream project to our fork repo. Now this is not a practical workaround that is acceptable. You know, we can't expect users to add everyone they want who's going to review their merge request across repos, but this is just to showcase that this is indeed the problem and warrants further back-end investigation. So we're going to make them at least a developer, because users that are reporters, developers, or maintainers have access to the CI jobs to view and to open merge requests. So if we change this to developer, now if we reload the page, and again, this is showing the merge request from the perspective of the original code owner for the project. So now we see everything loads correctly. And here, here's another side effect of this bug. You'll notice that when you go to view full report, the link, we made some assumptions about generating the link because it's taking the job, or the CI pipeline ID, so the pipeline ID was 99, and appending it to the current project. That URL does not exist in this case, but it does exist if we change this to, where's it, Colombian Pride, I believe, which was essentially the context that this job was run in. So I'll open up, I guess I'll add to the existing issue that we have that additional detail, but you could see that it's the merge request widget relies on you having permission to the CI jobs that are run. So we really need to reconsider and do a full audit of all the merge request widget data that gets pulled in that relies on CI pipeline results, because I don't think they work entirely in context of merge requests put up against upstream repo. So as a result of that investigation, I outlined the problem. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Which basically covers exactly what I just said in this video. Hopefully it was enough to give you an idea of like the debugging process. But because there is nothing to do from the front end, once we fix the backend logic, the UI should just work. I guess with the exception of the links, or the link problem that we encountered in this video, which I'll add as a note here, but we may tackle that as part of this issue as well. So that's pretty much it.